Vocabulary introduction. This PowerPoint will cover the parts of speech and word endings that we're going to use to create different parts of speech with this week's vocabulary words. First of all, you need to think about what the different parts of speech are. Within this particular lesson, what we're doing with vocabulary words is we're going to use 4 basic parts of speech. And let's go over those now. The first one is a noun. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So if we look at things in the room, we could say chair, desk, computer, people. If we gave the people a name, for example, Mr. Manning or Mrs. Butler, those would be proper nouns. So to put this in an even more different context for you, high school would be a noun, Maine East High School would be a proper noun. So that's something you should remember. The next part of speech we're going to look at is the adjective. And the adjective is a descriptor. It describes things. So if we looked at ways to describe Mr. Manning, we could talk about loud, handsome, fit, and those would all be things that describe me. The adverb, which is our third part of speech that we'll look at, answers several questions. How, when, where, or how much. And in this context, it modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. It usually ends in ly. And if we look at the sentence, Mr. Manning ran quickly, the word quickly tells us how Mr. Manning ran. So this is the how. If we look at the sentence, an incredibly handsome man, Mr. Manning is rarely without a date, incredibly tells us how handsome Mr. Manning is, and rarely tells us when he is without a date. Rarely. The final part of speech we'll deal with is a verb. And this one's most of you are pretty familiar with. It shows action, and we usually see verbs end in ed or ing. You can also tack an s onto a word sometimes and make that a verb as well. Speaking of word endings, here are some common endings to help you change words into different parts of speech. Ed, ing, ism, IC, IER, IST, LY, and NESS.